People, what's going on? You guys already know who it is. Let me let everybody get on this live. I hope you guys had a great weekend. Make sure you're enjoying life while you're chasing this wealth journey. Make sure you're, of course, taking time to love yourself. What's popping? What's popping? What's going on? People, we're going to have a great conversation today. Shouts out to all of you who've been following me for the last couple of years. I've been doing this for about 6 years, teaching our community how to invest, how to save, how to create wealth, how to think differently. If this is something that you truly want to do, a lot of you need to understand in life, the goal is to financially win, people. The goal is to live free. The goal is not to struggle. And one of those ways that we're going to talk about today, as you guys know, I'm a stock trader, day trader. I'm an entrepreneur. I own a lot of real estate. I'm actually in the process right now trying to buy an apartment complex within the next, I would say, 8 to 24 months. I want you guys to know the goal is to eventually have money working for you, okay? And not you working for the money. So we're going to talk about that today. Appreciate your love, Key. Love, Key. It's all love. People, I want you guys to know, today we're going to talk about another form of stocks. Like, you guys know when it comes to stocks, some people call me the GOAT, but again, I'm just a guy that's been doing it for a long time. And with repetition, you become a great person to, of course, get advice from. You become a person that you could look up to, because at the end of the day, I've been trading for about 12 to 14 years and investing. So I'm very familiar with the stock market. One thing I want to tell you is that you never stop learning. So today we're going to learn about a dividend stock. Now, a lot of you know when you go on these apps such as maybe Robinhood, TD Ameritrade, E-Trade, you could always just buy shares of stocks. Now, there's something, of course, that stocks do have certain characteristics. One is that you could buy stocks that only have, hypothetically, the stock, hypothetically, the stock was at $20, okay? But it doesn't move from 20 to 25. It just goes from 20 to maybe 23, 20 to maybe 23. For the last 5 years, when you look at the chart, all it goes is from 20 to 23. Some of you may say, well, why are people buying that stock? That stock barely moves if you look at the 5-year chart. Well, you got to understand, stocks make money in a lot of other ways. One is, of course, called dividends. When you're a company, hypothetically, you're a multi-billion-dollar company. Usually that's what I tell a lot of individuals to invest into if I were them. Because again, I don't want the small companies, the small multi-million-dollar companies, because there's more risk. So again, a lot of us, we invest into the big boys, the Starbucks, the Disneys, the multi-billion-dollar companies, the Walmarts, the Home Depots, the Lowe's. Even the EV sector, the Teslas and the Nakilas, which is slowly building, people. I want you guys to start learning about what we call dividend stocks. Now, one thing is you're gonna hear a lot of people tell you a lot of different things about dividend stocks. Oh, it's the best thing for you. Now, I'm starting to see that a lot of people truly don't really know what they're getting into, especially based on the amount of shares they have. Now, how does dividends work? Hypothetically, Bobby's a multi-billion-dollar company. After I pay my expenses, my employees, my supplies, whatever the case, my equipment, whatever type of business I have, whatever money I have left over, because you bought shares of my company, I want to give you a piece of the profits I have left over. We're going to change that term and just call it dividends. So, wow, at the end of the day, my company had a great quarter. When I say great quarter, a lot of you may or may not know that every company pretty much every 3 months has quotas. I guess we could call them sales quotas. But at the end of the day, we call them earnings, okay? So imagine earnings. Not only did you get, of course, your stock went up, you also got dividends. Now, what is dividends pretty much? Okay, well, your company was profitable. Hypothetically, the company within the first quarter made $5 billion. That's what it was projected to make. It actually made $6 billion, an extra $1 billion. Well, what companies do, they'll give you a piece of that profit because you bought their shares and never sold it. Okay, that's called dividends. Usually come from something called retained earnings. This is pretty much the profit that you have left over. You have the ability to just, as a company owner, reinvest it back into the company, or you could actually give people dividends who hold your shares of stock. Now, here's the thing, right? A lot of us, we're hearing people tell us, just simply buy dividend stocks. Yes, the pros is, I want to talk about the pros first. Imagine you get paid every 3 months because there's 4 quarters in a year. What's unique about dividends, you're getting paid every time they have a net profit, you get paid. Some companies, even if they had a net loss, they're so loyal to their shareholders, they will still pay you a dividend. Pretty much a dividend is like saying they're paying you interest on the stocks that you hold, which is pretty unique. So hypothetically, a company pays 8% dividend, and that equates to 20 cents or 40 cents or $1. Every stock you have, you pretty much get 40 cents times how many shares you have. Now, a lot of you are listening to these people on social media telling you that the best way to invest is to buy dividend stocks. I'm going to disagree, and I'm going to tell you why is that a problem. One of the things I want you guys to understand is there's two different ways to gain interest in life. There's simple interest and compounding interest, okay? Simple interest is hypothetically you invested, $1,000. And the bank told you to put the money in something we call a CD, certificate of deposit, which is the most risk-averse way of investing, which has zero risk. Pretty much what they're saying is we're going to hold your money, your $1,000, okay? We're going to hold it for, 1 year. You locked it in for 1 year. We're going to give you 10% on your money. 10% of $1,000 is what? $100. So that's simple interest, meaning I'm going to give you a one-time payment on your money, okay? This is very different when you get dividend interest. You're getting what we call compounding interest, meaning the comparison would be if you put the same $1,000 into a stock and they're paying you hypothetically 10%, that means first quarter you would get $1,000 plus $100, which is 1,000 times 10%. So you'd have $1,100 by the end of March. Then February, you'd have 1,100 times 10%. You see, you're getting interest on top of interest. That's called compounding interest. This is a great way that a lot of wealthy people build capital, build wealth through, of course, gaining through dividends and getting compounding interest. One thing that nobody's talking about, though, is that these wealthy people that's investing their dollars into these dividend stocks and these so-called gurus telling you that the best thing to invest your money into is dividend stock is that they're not telling you the main important rule. You have to have a lot of shares. You cannot buy 20 shares of a stock and think because, oh my God, I'm getting 5%. 5% may equate to maybe 10 cents on every share. So if you have literally 20 shares times 10 cents, you made nothing. And this is never going to build you any true wealth. And I want to say this because a lot of people are just telling people, go buy these blue chip, which is multi-billion-dollar, strong, reputable, fundamental companies. Great. But here's the problem. They're telling you buy them based on the fact that you're going to be getting dividends. The problem is if you don't have enough shares, the dividends doesn't really equate to wealth. See, there's a big difference on how I would say Jim Cramer think, Warren Buffett think. These are wealthy individuals who make a lot of wealth. Carl Icahn. These are individuals who invest into the stock market for years to come. They're very educated when it comes to the stock market. And there's a lot of other types of investors such as Kevin O'Leary and many others. I want you guys to understand everything when you're investing into the stock market is based on the fact of how long are you going to hold it. If you're going to, and then on not only that, how many shares are you going to buy? Do not let a person tell you that the best thing for you to do is buy dividend stocks and you're going to by theory become so wealthy off of having 20 shares of a stock. Maybe if they said, well, buy 20 shares and keep that repetition going, maybe every 6 months you're buying 20 shares and you have dividend stocks, maybe you can get somewhere. Because what you're doing is compounding the amount of shares you have. So eventually you're going to have 300, 400, 500, maybe 1,000 shares of a stock. And if you're getting 12%, 10%, or 8% on those 1,000 shares every 3 months, quarterly, 4 times a month, then you're really building something. But that's not what a lot of these individuals, these so-called gurus are really telling you. They're pretty much just telling you, look, just invest all your hard-working dollars into dividend stocks and you're going to become so wealthy. Here's the problem, okay? One thing I want you guys to know, how do you look up how much dividends does a company pay? And my question for a lot of you, if you're going to be doing dividend stocks, it's also good to understand how consistent has the company been paying it in the last year to maybe 10 years. So here's my thing, right? First and foremost, a great tool to use is Yahoo Finance. Kay, what's popping? Kay, what's going on? Good afternoon. A great tool to use is Yahoo Finance. The reason I like Yahoo Finance, if you click the chart and go to what we call the interactive chart, what happens is in the interactive chart, they have something which is very unique. You could, of course, see in the profile, the summary, how much interest they pay on their stock, every company. If you're going to see it says yield. Yield equates to pretty much dividends. That's the same term. Now, a lot of you need to understand, once you see the yield or AKA dividend, you now need to ask yourself, okay, well, It says 5%. It says 8%. What is that in dollars? Because a lot of us, when we hear 8%, 8% of what? 5% of what? 9% of what? The stock is yielding 9%. 9% of what? A lot of you want to know dollar-wise or cents-wise. How many cents am I getting per share? Well, if you click the interactive chart on Yahoo Finance, you guys will see Yahoo Finance has a unique creative chart. Well, it will show you every quarter that the company paid dividends and what does it equate to in dollars or cents. So now, one, you can see how long has the company been paying that, by theory, consistent dividend payment. Two is you can see how much is it. 30 cents, 20 cents, $1, $1.75, $2. Some of these companies, they're giving you, based on the share price of their stock, it sounds good, 9%, but that 9% equates to like 12 cents. And a lot of people are not paying attention to what they just got. Oh my God, this company just gave me every 3 months, they just gave me $33. $33 times 4 quarters in a year times 30 years is not going to make you wealthy. I thought I'd share this first because I am so tired of hearing these so-called gurus and these people that think they're master investors and master traders trying to give the culture or just regular people, whatever the case may be, that don't have a true insight on the stock market, the truth to winning in life. One of the things I want to tell you, if you want to win when it comes to stock trading, number one, you need to have discipline. Number two, do your homework, research the stock. There are so many Google pages. There are so many YouTube videos. There is so many, of course, books that exist. Ask yourself a question. Do you understand what you're buying? Do you understand who's the CEO? What other company has that CEO managed? Where do you see this stock 10 years from now? These are the questions you should be asking yourself when you're investing into any stock. If you invested into a stock because your friend told you to, or he said, she said, you're going to really lose yourself in this world of trading or investing, because you're listening to people who truly don't understand economics and the market, and you're believing anything that they say based on perception. Now, is it true that people get lucky? 100%. Who would have known that oil stocks was going to do what it did right now and what it's still doing? Oil stocks are to the roof right now, and they're going to keep going higher. A lot of people didn't know that sector was going to, of course, escalate so high. The appreciation that you're getting on oil stock right now is ridiculous. Who would have known that the commodity nickel was going to do what it did? Nobody. Nobody knew this whole Russia-Ukraine war was coming. Nobody knew that COVID was going to have several variances. See, these are the things we have to understand. Stop letting people fool you into buying stocks you don't have an understanding. Because it's nothing worse than having stocks in your stock portfolio, if it's Robinhood, E-Trade, TD Ameritrade, and you hold it for 5 to 7 years, and it makes you no money. It made you no real wealth. I have a different belief. If a person is in their 20s, if somebody asks me right now, 20s, 30s, where would you suggest a young person invest their money? To me, okay, I'm 36, so I look at, okay, cool. I'm looking at least 10 years out, 15 years out. Well, at the end of the day, I see a lot of EV cars are actually on the road, such as, of course, Tesla is one of the biggest companies. I see the EV market is real demandful when it comes to, of course, the benefit of the EV itself because it's fully electrical, and the fact that, of course, you don't have to consume gas consumption anymore. A lot of you need to understand not only that, we got to look at the charging stations of the EV. We got to look at, okay, how is EV cars created? What material? We're looking at the commodity itself. See, this is just my mindset. I'm also looking at the world is changing into artificial intelligence. I've been talking about this since 5 years ago, people. Look at the robots. They're slowly coming. Now, who's the software companies? That's how I'm looking at my investing strategy. A lot of you need to look so past what's going on right now if you want to win long term. You're so focused on right now, people just telling you anything because you're hungry for success. What people are essentially doing, they're playing with your emotions. Because a lot of people that's telling you to buy these dividend stocks, I guarantee a lot of them are not successful. I guarantee a lot of them are not even wealthy as they're making it seem. They're probably getting wealthy through selling you courses, selling you bullshit shows, and really selling you a dream that didn't happen and that will never happen. This is why I do these lives, to really educate you guys on what's really happening. Because I get a lot of people, especially recently, asking me, Bobby, how do you feel about dividend stocks? And I'm like, where's this whole dividend thing sourcing from? People, at the end of the day, I want you guys to understand dividend stocks can bring you value if you buy enough shares with the right company. This is one of the things I really want people to really pay attention to. Pay attention to that last part of that sentence. If you buy enough shares with the right company. A lot of people are trying to invest like Warren Buffett, but the guy, one of his shares of his stock is almost $520,000 a share. The guy owns a multi-billion dollar, maybe $1 trillion establishment. He has a AUM, assets under management, maybe $1 trillion, people. This is a whole different ball game. When Warren Buffett is buying shares of a company, he's buying 500,000 shares. He's buying 200,000 shares. He's buying 1 million shares. He's buying 5 million shares of a company, compared to us who are buying 20, who are buying 30, who are buying 15, who are buying 50 shares. If you do the math and really pay attention to what I'm telling you, go to Yahoo Finance. Numbers don't lie. Whatever company a person told you that the company pays so much dividends, just go to Yahoo Finance. Click charts, then click charts again. You're in the interactive. You're going to see on the bottom, it says D. Every time you see D, that means that's the date and time and how much the company paid dividends. And it's going to tell you in dollar value, 40 cents, 20 cents. The math is very simple. If it says 40 cents for 4 quarters straight, you times 40 cents times how many shares you have, 30 shares, 50 shares, 80 shares. That's exactly how much you will make every 3 months, on top of every 3 months. I don't know what everybody's goals is, but if you're an individual analyzing your life and saying, well, I want to figure out how to make $1 million. I want to figure out how to make 2 million. I want to figure out how to make 5 million. You got to really stop looking at fairy tales and look at real numbers. People, real numbers right now is really showing you the cost of living is out of hand. You need a way to make you some real money. I believe in buying multi-billion dollar company market cap stock, which is blue chips, that have a whole level of appreciation, meaning it has maybe $40, $50, $60 upside. Now, another way of looking at it is, can you buy stocks that have a lot of upside but still has great dividend benefits, such as, example, I'm a big fan of Ford. You guys know when it comes to EV, I'm a big fan of the EV sector. I know it's going to take time, but again, I'm looking at my age, 36. By 46, maybe even 44 or younger, I should already have a $6 million portfolio. That's just me. Now, what you got to realize is, okay, well, Ford is at $16. One of the biggest companies in the world when it comes to selling trucks. Now they're going to be fully EV, they say, within the next 10 years. They pay dividends consistently. The stock is only at $15. They project the stock to be at $80 to $90. So not only are you making money off of, Ford is a very unique stock. Not only are you making money off of the dividends every 3 months while you wait for the stock to grow. The stock is at 15, was currently at what I think 23. Now it's at 15, so you already have $8 there, but that's not even what you're worried about. You're looking at the fact that 5 to 8 years from now, when Ford is at $80 a stock, and you decided to keep buying a certain amount of shares, by 5 to 7 years later, when you see every car made by Ford fully EV, fully electrical, and the stock is at $100, $150, plus you ate up all those 5 to 7 years of dividends every quarter, every 3 months, 4 times a year for almost 7 years, you made yourself a basket full of wealth. You probably cashed out $1 million, $2 million, easy, off of maybe a $5,000, $10,000 investment, $20,000 investment, just because you kept investing into the stock. Now you have 1,000 shares. Now you have 1,200 shares. Now you have 1,500 shares. I've talked about this numerous times, people. When you're investing into the stock market, it's imperative that you take time to really understand how many shares you have of a stock makes a difference to how much wealth you will make. Nobody's really talking about the share count. All everybody's talking about is this thing could make a lot of money. But this thing could make a lot of money, but if you only have one share of it, you're not going to make a lot of money. If you only have 10 shares of it, you're not going to make a lot of money, especially if you bought the dividends. Because 10 shares, if the dividend is $1, that's 10 times $1. The only difference is you're getting that every 3 months times 4 quarters out of the year. That is not going to make you wealthy. People, math does not lie. This is why I really believe kids, high school kids, parents, adults, whatever, grandfathers, uncles, aunties, pay attention to numbers. In school, I feel you could have failed everything else. But one thing you got to be smart with is your numbers. Math doesn't lie. One thing I always tell people, focus on numbers. Numbers can't lie, no matter what a person is telling you. A person can tell you, oh my God, I just made a whole bunch of money in real estate. What is a whole bunch of money? Now we're going to go into numbers. Look how I'm going to question the person. How much you bought the property for? Oh, I bought it for $100, hypothetically. Oh, cool. How much you invested into the property to get it back to where it needed to be, up to par? Oh, I spent $50,000, so that's $150. Okay, cool. How much was it to close the deal? Well, that cost me another $30,000. Oh, wow, $180,000. How much what's the ARV? What could you sell it for? $250. Oh, wow. So you pretty much netted $70,000. You bought a property for $100. You put $50 into it. It took you $30,000 of closing costs to pay commissions and settlement fees, title fees. So you're at $180, and then you sold it for $250. $250 minus $180 is $70,000. Numbers don't lie. I want to teach you guys this because a lot of you, even if you're buying stocks, and especially the stock market is down bad right now, and it may not be done. That's the scary part. The stock market is down right now, and it may not be done. Sasha, what's popping? Paulio, what's popping? We're talking about dividend stocks today. We're talking about understanding, is dividend stocks really for you? Do you even have enough shares? Because this is a big problem in the community. People, Danny Brown in the building, Vegas is in the building. A lot of people are buying dividend stocks. I get it, but you don't even have enough shares. So whoever's fooling your mind, telling you that buying dividend stocks is the best thing for you, really do the math. Math will never lead you wrong in life. Really think about it. And Danny Brown is 100% right. If there's one thing you should be doing right now, I just uploaded a lot of money I had saved up to double down on a lot of stocks, meaning I averaged my stock price down. Some stocks I was at 40, now I'm at 12. Some stocks I was at, 100, now I'm at 40. Some stocks I was at 20, now I'm at 7. When the market is down, people, this is just some advice for some of you that's in the stock market, that's learning how to trade, that's learning how to invest. When the market is down, you should be buying more. And the way I do it, my rule of thumb, not saying you should do it, this is just educational information. If I'm in a stock at $20, I like to believe double down, at least if the stock goes 50% or more. That's going to be my first double down. So if I'm in a stock at $20, it drops to 10, it maybe drops to 8, drops to 7, then I'm going to buy some more at 7. I like to get at least a 50 to 80% decline before I double down. For some of you, you don't understand what I'm saying. It's very uncomfortable. Because some of you are like, well, I bought the stock at 20. Now it's at 4. Why should I buy more? Here go math again. This is why I say you got to love math. Whoever is the math teacher, shout out to BCC, shout out to FAU, all my degrees I got. Shout out to all my math teachers, Mr. Marsh in middle school. Shout out to my elementary school teachers, because they taught me so much math. Like, I was very good with math. And I must say, like, numbers to me make so much sense. And when you really look at it, in middle school or high school, they taught you something called an average. Okay? We're talking about averaging down. If you bought something at $20 and then you bought the same thing at $4, how do you average down? You just simply add the two numbers and divide by 2. So if you bought a stock at 20, then it drops to 4, You take that, you bought, then he dropped to 4 and you bought more at 4. 20 plus 4 is 24 divided by 2. Your new stock price, because you average down, is $12. A lot of you don't understand as the market tanks. It's very imperative, if I were you, I can't tell you what to do, to average down and buy more shares. Because when the market comes back up, which it will, this stock market does this this is not new, people. The stock market tanking like this. This is not new. There's a blowout sell in the stock market, and some of you are still focused on all the wrong things. If there should be somebody that's uncomfortable in the stock market, it should be me. I'm down almost $500,000 right now. So if there's somebody that should be uncomfortable, it should be me. But guess what I'm doing? I'm buying more stocks. Because what you guys, some of you don't understand, the game of life, and I'm going to keep saying it, is the individual who could stay and make it closest to the 10-year mark. Every stock that ever went super high, they usually do it in a 10-year stretch. If you understand what you're doing, some of you got into crypto, got into stocks a year or two ago. You're down almost just 2 years. You're already scared. Some of you already sold. I can't tell you what to do. That's your wealth, not mine. At the end of the day, you have to control your emotions through this whole journey right now. It is very uncomfortable for some of you. You have to control your emotions. The stock market goes up and down, up and down. It does it all day, but after a while, it's going to start going up. It always does this. Right now, it's making you guys uncomfortable is your emotion. You don't feel comfortable knowing that, oh my God, you're down $1,000. Oh my God, I'm down $3,000. Just like some of you who bought Bitcoin, okay, when it was at 64,000, or when you bought these coins when it was at the high. You're very uncomfortable because the market is down. Some of you bought Doge at, 70 cents. Now Doge is at 11 cents. And I told you guys when it was at 70, I said, I'm going to go ahead and wait. I'm going to buy Doge when it goes to maybe 2 cents. I'm not in a rush. I'm not in a rush. It takes self-discipline. This is one of the reasons why I say for anybody who's in the stock market, who's in Robinhood, Cash, people now buy through Cash App and many other platforms. I don't know, whatever the case may be, TD Ameritrade, Fidelity, E-Trade. I want you guys to understand, Charles Schwab, you have to really pay attention to what's going on. The next time, today we're talking about this whole dividend investing. People telling you to invest into dividend stocks. But they're not telling you the main ingredient, which is you have to have a certain amount of shares. The same thing I told you guys when you guys were investing into regular stocks, equity. When you guys were buying regular stocks, I told all of you, do not just buy 5, 10 shares of a stock. Because that's not going to give you true wealth. You need a certain amount of shares. The same thing buying dividend stocks for dividend investing. You're listening to these so-called gurus telling you buy dividends and you're going to make compounding interest, which is interest on top of interest, and you're going to be rich forever. But they never told you one part. The part that they never told you is that you only have 4 shares, 10 shares. That is not going to make you rich. If you want to see true wealth, you have to understand to have a certain amount of shares. And a certain amount of shares that you need to have sometimes is 200, 500, 1,000, 2,000. I have certain stocks that I have 3,000 shares in. Even if it goes up, when it gets back up, when the market lifts, every dollar it goes up, I make $3,000. So if it go from 30 to 80, that's $70 times 3,000. That's $210,000 I just made off of one stock. See, I'm tired of working. That's why I give you guys these gems to let your mind work a little differently. The game is about us giving the truth. A lot of us need to give the truth, which is what I'm doing today to really let you guys see the true game of this world. Because a lot of you are buying these stock courses and you're listening to these clowns that don't even really do stock trading or investing, haven't been in the market for, I've been 12 years, I've been doing this. I lost a lot of money to really understand what I understand. Some of these dudes not even playing with $20,000. They're telling you, they're calling themselves gurus, goats. People, if you don't have self-discipline, you're not going to win this race. I've been trading and investing in the stock market 12 years. There's an art to this, okay? And the art is, one of them is that you have to have self-discipline. 2, you need to understand what you're buying. 3, if you're going to buy dividend stocks, you need to understand you need to buy a certain amount of shares of a dividend stock. And 4, if you're going to buy dividend stock, I'm going to tell you right now, we go right back to self-discipline. If you can't wait 5 to 8 years, you're wasting your time in a dividend stock. You will not see success in a dividend stock in 1 or 2 years. That's not how it works. That's not how it works. You want to see true success in the stock market. You want to see true wealth. You have to be willing to hold and control your emotions. That's why they say do not put money you need next week, next month in the stock market. Every dollar I have in the stock market is dollars I don't need right now. I'm very comfortable. I'm still paying my bills. I'm still eating out. I'm still traveling. I'm still living my life. I'm still investing into different things. I'm still trying to buy my commercial unit. I still have everything in place, even though I have close to $1 million in the stock market. Because again, I know that money, I don't need it. So if you're investing into the stock market, my advice to you, do not put money that you need right now. And if anybody tells you to put your money into a dividend stock, make sure you do your homework. Homework number 1, go to Yahoo, click Yahoo Finance. Click charts, number 2. Click charts again, which is the interactive charts. You're going to see if it's a dividend stock, it's going to tell you, it's going to say D on the bottom. And of course, usually companies pay every 3 months, meaning they pay every quarter. How many quarters are in a month? 4 quarters. Some companies, which is rare, they pay once every month. At the end of the day, it also tells you on that chart, what is it in dollars? If a company says the dividend yield on Yahoo is 8%, what is 8% in dollars? 8% in dollars might be 30 cents. So if you have 30 shares, that's 30 cents times 30 shares every 3 months times 4 every year. That is not going to make you rich. And I'm saying this because there's so many people wearing suits, so many people putting on gear, fooling you. You're letting perception fool you. You're believing lies of people on social media, acting like they're gurus that truly do not understand the stock market. That probably don't even have $20,000 in the stock market, telling you how they're going to sell you a course to teach you how to make $20,000 a month in the stock market. And that's where we're losing. I want you guys to know I'm not going to hold your afternoon up. Today, I thought I'd share what is a dividend stock. How do you look up information on a dividend stock? Is it for you? This is a real question for a lot of you to ask yourself. Do you have enough shares? These are things you need to think about when buying or investing into dividend stocks. Will it really give you wealth? Math never lies, people. Do your numbers. Find out what is the dividend paying every 3 months in dollars or in cents. Times it by how many shares you have of that company, and you will see a number. And if that number is, 40 shares you have times $1, that's $40. $40 times roughly 4 quarters in a year, that's roughly, that's $160. I don't see where is $160 going to make you rich. But I thought I'd share this live because my goal is to give you guys all my experiences, all my knowledge, all my mistakes, because I want you guys to see the God honest truth. And if you guys do want dividend stocks, I may leave out and give you a couple. Ford is a great dividend stock, ticker F. AT&T pays dividends. I'm not invested in AT&T. I'm not a fan because AT&T stock barely moves, but it pays consistent dividends. But again, if you are an older person, sometimes older people just want their money to float with no real volatility in it. So that would be a great stock for them to be making great dividends. It doesn't really move. But for me, I look at everything is about age. How young are you? If you're in your 30s, you're in your 20s, man, get yourself in Ford and many other great stocks that you could find, such as, of course, NRZ, which is a real estate. I'd be careful with the healthcare companies. As you guys know, anybody who took my course, I'm not a fan of healthcare stocks because one is I don't understand them too well. 2 is I feel those stocks with the one FDA disapproval, those stocks like to go down at least 90% in a day, and you're going to be waiting 5 to 10 years for that stock to come back up. That is very dangerous. And usually when a stock goes down a lot in value, companies cut off their dividends. That's why I don't believe in buying healthcare stocks Oil stocks, the only reason I don't buy oil stocks is because I don't understand oil. And honestly, I choose not to even research and understand what oil is about. So I don't take time to understand drilling. I don't care about the OPEC deal. I honestly don't care anything when it comes to oil stocks. So that's just me. I'm all about technology. I'm all about EV. I'm all about artificial intelligence. I'm all about where the world is going, because at the end of the day, you got to look at your age when you're investing and kind of assume, where do you see yourself 10 years from now? Where do you see things 10 years from now? 10 years from now, every car is going to be, a majority of the car, not every, majority of the cars are going to be EV. 10 years from now, everybody's going to be charging their cars at charging stations. Gas stations are going to have to change their pumps one day, or add more pumps for EV. The world is going to be changing drastically. Artificial intelligence, robots is going to be everywhere, doing things that a lot of humans used to do. You will one day walk into a hamburger spot that you used to eat a nice flavored hamburger and see the person in the back. You're no longer going to see that person. You're going to see an automated machine. That automated machine will be making you French fries, will be making you burgers, will be making you everything at a faster pace, more consistent pace than a human being. And at the end of the day, you gotta understand, why will companies invest? Because one cost that's the most expensive cost in any business is you, the employee. If you guys haven't heard it before, this is the honest truth. Companies will do anything to fire you as an employee. A lot of you don't like to hear the truth. That's why I always tell you, these companies don't care about you. But what you need to do is care about yourself. This is Boy from Mentourme.com. Tomorrow night, I got a special guest, a 7-figure truck transport company. Going to be live tomorrow night, 10 p.m. Devin Lloyd is in the building from Atlanta, Georgia. We will be live on IG and, of course, I think Facebook tomorrow night at 10 p.m. Eastern time. We will be talking about the transport industry. I want to know about it. I want to know questions that you want to know. Is it really that lucrative? What's the do's and don'ts? What's things you want to know about the transport industry? You can ask your questions tomorrow. It will be a great live event. Shouts out to Devin Lloyd. He will be in the building tomorrow night, live with your boy Bob from Mentourme.com. You guys have a wonderful, wonderful afternoon, evening. Enjoy your day, people. Invest smart. Remember that. Mentor me.